The first scent of rain. In a small town, nestled among soft clouds and the chirping of birds, the story of Ayesha and Ahmer began. Ayesha was a gentle-hearted girl who adored the rain. She would turn every raindrop into words in her diary. On the other hand, Ahmer was a cheerful, lively boy who expressed his emotions to the world through the strings of his guitar. Their first meeting felt as if nature itself had written a story. One rainy day, Ayesha was seeking shelter outside a bookstore. A gust of wind scattered the pages of her diary. Ahmer, who was standing nearby, rushed to gather them. When he handed the diary back to her, their eyes met, and in that moment, a soft light flickered to life in the corners of their hearts. As time went by, they often found themselves at the same cafe, sometimes because of the rain, sometimes because of a conversation sparked by a book's title. Ayesha would recite her poetry, and Ahmer would give her words a melody on his guitar. Slowly, they realized that each filled the missing pieces in the other's life. One day, when the skies were once again heavy with rain, Ahmer took Ayesha to the highest hilltop in the city and said, "Ayesha, I brought you here so the sky, the clouds, the rain, and this breeze can all be my witnesses. You are the prayer I've been making for years. Will you be a part of my life?" Tears of joy welled up in Ayesha's eyes. She smiled softly and replied, "Ahmer, you are the melody that completes every one of my poems." "Yes, I want to be with you always." The first scent of rain, part 2. After the rain, the earth carries a unique fragrance, as if the soil itself longs to share its story. That very fragrance had now begun to seep into Ayesha and Ahmer's lives. Since their first meeting, their paths kept crossing, sometimes by chance, sometimes by an invisible pull of destiny. In the heart of the city stood an old cafe, where raindrops on the windows always played their own music. Ayesha often brought along her diary, while Ahmer sometimes carried his guitar. They began to sit at the same table. At first, it was just a few exchanged words, but gradually those moments stretched into hours. When Ayesha opened her diary and recited her poetry, a quiet, thoughtful smile would spread across Ahmer's face. With his fingers strumming the guitar strings, he would turn her words into melodies. It felt as though her verses floated through the air, and Ahmer's notes gave them wings to land softly on the ground. Within the cafe's stillness, it all felt like magic. With time, Ayesha realized that her poetry sounded deeper and more beautiful in Ahmer's presence. And Ahmer discovered that Ayesha's words painted his music in new colors. Between them, an unspoken harmony emerged, as if two different paths had found their way into the same direction. One day, after the rain, when the air was heavy with freshness, Ayesha turned the pages of her diary and said softly, "Ahmer, sometimes I feel as if these raindrops fall only for me, so I can turn them into stories." Ahmer, smiling gently, replied, "And I feel they fall only for me, so I can turn them into music." For a moment, silence hung between them, but it wasn't heavy. It was filled with peace, like the sky after rain, where both light and darkness quietly exist together. Ayesha felt that Ahmer was no longer just a friend. He had become part of her poetry, and Ahmer thought that Ayesha was no longer just a girl. She was the very soul of his music. In those days, there were no formal promises, no grand declarations. Yet, an unseen bond had already taken